Hello, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. There's plenty going on this week. I've actually managed to have a week off work, so I've got loads of little jobs that I've been doing. I'm going to show you bit by bit. But early today I replaced the roof on the shed that was needing to be done. So I'll start to show you the video that I did for that. So welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. So, in the greenhouse, I've been chopping down the tops off here, and I've also chopped out quite a few branches over here. Cucumbers still doing really well. I've got a curly whirly one up here for some reason, but the tomatoes are ripening quite well now. I've got ripe tomatoes all over. This leaf is one that I've obviously broken off whilst I was chopping the other branches up. As you can see, I've got plenty of tomatoes all over, absolutely laden with these little mini ones have done really well. Still having the money maker tomatoes, so there's still loads of them coming. Cucumbers all up in the roof, as you can see here. There's loads of them coming all over the place, so still doing well. So far I've had 41 cucumbers out of the greenhouse. There's one stuck over there. The one thing you do need to watch out is that I had one up here the other day, is that they do get wrapped round the metalwork in the greenhouse if you're not careful. So like this strut here, there was one between the glass and the and as it grows it can actually break the glass. Plenty of seeds that I've been taking, which I'll explain later. But today I've been doing this roof here, so I'll show the video of how I did that. So at this time of year, whilst it's still reasonably dry and warm, it's worth checking your shed roofs just to make sure everything's okay and it's not leaking. And I've noticed that this one, the woodwork, I don't know if you can see, but that's quite sort of bowed there. Basically the woodwork on here, the water's got through sort of there. I noticed at the back end of last year, to be honest with you, but the woodwork at this end of the roof here is shot. So what I'm going to do is take off this roofing felt, make sure all the wood underneath is okay, replace. I'm also going to have to replace the top board, possibly this front board here, and I'm going to take off the felt so I can see that. What I'm going to do is, obviously there's a line, I've had a look on the inside where the boards meet, and there's a line here. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to replace all of the roofing felt, I'm going to cut along here with a Stanley knife and replace this woodwork, and then I'm going to put the new felt underneath. So when the water runs down, it runs off this piece onto the next piece, and then down into the guttering, and then into the water barrels, like it does normally. So the first stage is to take off the roofing felt so I can see the wood underneath, remove the wood, and then put some new wood in, and then put some new felt in. Now next year I'm going to be removing this greenhouse that I've got here, which isn't the one I normally show on the videos. This is like a lean-to greenhouse that I use as sort of spare room and stuff like that. I'm going to be removing that, and I'm going to be replacing all this back part of the shed, so that will be seen in future videos next year. So this repair basically has just got to last till probably about this time next year. So I'm still going to do it, so obviously it keeps. But this wall that's behind here behind this piece of fencing will remain. So obviously I want to protect the woodwork in there so it doesn't go rotten over the winter. So to do this job, basically what I need is obviously you need a good pair of ladders so you can get up and down safely. Some good quality roofing felt. This stuff isn't particularly cheap. I think it's about, if I remember, 'cause I bought this last year, I think it's about £15 a roll, but get the stuff that's got this like sort of grit in it. Don't get the cheaper stuff because you'll just be replacing it every year. It's well worth getting yourself some good quality roofing felt. Look for the one that says shed on it. I'm going to be using some of this bitumen just to seal the joint. You need some clout nails. Some clout nails are reasonably cheap. The galvanised, I don't know if you can see that, put it in the light. The galvanised nails about sort of 10-12 mil long, and they've got a big head on it so that it holds the roofing felt down. You obviously need a hammer, a chisel just to get the old nails out, and a good sharp Stanley knife to cut your felt when you're putting your felt on, and obviously to cut the old one off. So, as I say, the first stage is to take off the old felt, so I'll do that now. So, as you can see, now I've taken the felt off, the woodwork underneath is absolutely rotten as a pear. Now these boards only sort of go to here, and this top material, even though it's a little bit wet, is okay. So basically what the next stage is to take these boards off. I don't think it's going to take a lot of removing. These basically just pull that out. As you can see, it's just absolutely as rotten as a pear. And then I'll take this front piece of wood off, rip all this out here because it's just absolutely shot, that is. And I'll replace this panel here at the front first, just by removing these nails and then putting a new one in across the front, and then I'll put a piece of plywood in on top of there so it's nice and solid underneath. The one point I would make is if you have got a piece of roof like this that you're not sure about, don't be tempted to stand on it because you could go straight through it. So always do it from a ladder, and then pull off all the wood that you don't want anymore, and then put on your new wood. So that's it with all the wood taken off. This bit's a bit knackered here, to be honest with you, but this, as I say, this is only temporary fix to last a year or so, so I'm not going to be too bothered about that. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of metal under there just to support it till next year. These joists also, they've seen better days, so if I was going to do this on a more permanent basis, what I would do is replace these timbers as well, to be honest with you, but because it's only going to last a year or so, I'm going to leave them in. So now the next thing is to put some board in. Sorry, to replace the front piece here first. Sorry, so I'll replace that all the way along, and then I shall put a board in across the top. I've retained all the old nails, so I can use them again. You see, to save buying new ones. So I'll be nailing the board down with exactly the same nails that were holding the previous board on. So I don't need to buy any more of them. So I'll screw in a sort of fascia plate across the front here, and then I'll nail the new top board on next. So I've cut this piece of wood here, which is going to slot in there to replace the bit that's come out now. Because these joists aren't as good as perhaps they should be, I've decided not to nail them. I'm going to screw them. So I'm going to drill a hole through with a drill about that big, a 6mm drill, and then I'm going to be putting, as it's a big job, I'm going to put a big screw in. So I'm going to be driving that through there, and then that will go into the joist there towards the bottom where this the wood's not too bad. So that's the front panel screwed in. As you can see, I've put a screw through into each one. And what I didn't say so far is this is completely recycled wood. all of the wood that I'm using today has been completely recycled out of you know, jobs that I've either done before or I've spotted in a skip or wherever, but this is all recycled wood. So this is a piece of chipboard which I'm going to be using for the roof. It's just a piece of 3/4 inch chipboard which I managed to salvage from a pallet at work. What I'll be doing to measure the shape that I need, because it's not a regular shape, it's a rhombus. As you can see, it's wider that side than it is that side. Is I'll be putting it on top of the roof, hard up against this edge here, and then to save using any kind of measurement rule or anything, I'm just going to draw a line underneath which will tell me where to cut this. So I'm going to end up with a line on here going across like that, and then I'll just cut down that line with either a jigsaw or a circular saw, and then I'll be able to basically just screw that straight on. So as you can see, that board is level with the side there. In other words, this bit here is level with that bit. And you can see my pencil, that's level with that. So all I've done now is push that hard up against the top, and then so I know where to cut the board. All I've done is just gone along under here with the pencil and drawn a line on there, and I shall now cut that out. So as you can see now, I've cut the piece of wood. It fits the shape of the root perfectly along here, and that's hard up against this this bit at the back. So the next bit is because I'm going to have to do this in two pieces. You want the join of the wood to be on the actual joist, which is sitting around here. So what I'm going to do is, with a pencil, just put my hand underneath and score down the side of the joist that's on the underneath. So if I do that, I'll be able to get a reference line from there. Now if I turn it over, you'll see that there's the line there, so that's where the joist is. Now obviously that's the edge of the joist, so because the joist is that wide, what I want to do, obviously the joist will sit sort of there, sort of between them two lines. So what I want to do, sorry I'm doing this left-handedly, so what I want to do is to cut a line halfway up from there, like that, all the way along, so that the two pieces of wood join halfway along these two. So the edge of this piece of wood will be here, and then the next piece of wood will go along there. Now the next piece of wood I'm going to cut in exactly the same way. However, because I've already got the shape of the roof, because obviously this line here is going to be the shape of the roof. So if I turn this piece of wood upside down compared to the other piece, it's going to be exactly the same line. So all I need to do now to cut this remaining piece is to measure from this joist here to this joist here, to the edge of that, and then from there along to the top, which will give me this dimension along here and then this dimension along here. And so all I need to do then is cut that out, and then I'll have a piece of wood which will fit the remaining hole. So as you see now, I've got two healthy pieces of wood which fit, and this is joining on the middle of the joist, so I can screw those in both into the joist, and they'll both pieces of wood will be supported from all angles. Now before we go any further, top tip of the day, it's a top tip of the day, before you screw this piece of wood on, which is the next stage, what you want to do is drag it down slightly. Obviously you know where the screws are going to go around the edge, so that's not too important. So just make sure your edges around, so that's got to nudge over slightly. Now, you need to know where you're putting the screws, so obviously you're going to put them through the wood into the joist. So before you screw it down, just make a pencil mark there, and then obviously you're going to be screwing into this one. Don't worry about the edge, because you're going to know where the edge is, and obviously you're going to know where this is, but you need to know where the top of this one is, the top of that one. Now, when I push this back up, I'll just get that out of the way. So I'm doing this left-handedly at the minute, so you have to excuse the camera work. If I go down here, I know where the end of the joist is here, because it's by the screw. So if I then put a pencil mark here and a pencil mark here, then if I get a piece of wood now and just join these two lines together like that, in fact you don't really need a piece of wood, just by eyes enough. So I need to put the screws along that line to screw into the joist. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to be using, I was going to nail this, but because obviously the wood's not so good, I'm going to be using some of these screws, which are panel screws that are about 1.5 inches long. So what I'm going to do first is drill a pilot hole in every about 6 inches, and then along this edge here. And then I'm going to put screws in all the way around, which will make it all strong and secure. Second top tip of the day is, as soon as this is screwed down, the felt's going to go on, and what you don't want with roofing felt is a sharp edge. You see this edge here is that's at right angles there. So what I'm going to do is bevel the edge with the circular saw. All I'm going to do is put the blade at an edge. You can do this with a file, or if you haven't got a circular saw, or you can just do it with a some kind of rasp, or just with a normal saw, to be honest with you. And I'm going to cut like a 45-degree angle on this, only just to take the edge off, so that when the felt goes on and bends over the edge, it's not against this sharp edge, which will potentially cut into the felt. So I shall do that before I screw it on. Then I'll drill the holes and screw it all down. So, almost finished. As you can see, I've beveled the edge of the wood with the saw, so I've got a nice sort of smooth edge there now. And I've screwed all the way along the front. Here's a screw here. So I've screwed about every sort of 9 inches or so. So that's all nice and solid now, no problems at all. All I need to do now is to put the felt on. So what I'm going to do, as I explained earlier, is put the felt, slide the felt under the old felt, all the way under there. So what I need to do is make sure that the edges here are free, so that I can get the new felt under the old. So it's slightly written over, but that won't be a problem because the new felt will be underneath. And then so I'm going to slide the felt under. We're almost finished. Just slide the felt under, then I can start to nail it down. One thing that I didn't explain, the reason why you want to do this time of year is when the weather's nice and warm, the way it is at the moment, felt is nice and flexible, and you can get it onto the roof and move it around and do what you need to do. In the winter months, this stuff, because it's made of bitumen and tar, it gets stiff, and it's much harder to sort of bend and cut and get it on the roof. So whilst it's nice and warm, it's definitely the time of year now to make sure all your sheds are watertight. So now what I've done is I've slid on the roofing felt underneath the old, and what you need to do, the best tip I can give you on this one, is to cut the piece of felt so it's much bigger than what you need. So you've got kind of 3 or 4 inches to either side. Put the felt in, nail it in, and then just cut off the excess that you don't want afterward. So what I'm going to do now is go along this top edge, make sure it's nice and flat, there's no wrinkles in it, yeah, and then nail along the top to attach it along one edge first, and then work your way from that edge down, doing the sides here, both sides, and then I'll end up doing the front here. So there's the finished product. It's just starting to rain, so I've had to rush a little bit towards the end, to be honest with you, but as you can see, the line that I've cut along there isn't exactly straight, but what I'll do is I'll just come along there with a pair of scissors later on and tidy it up when it stopped raining. But the important thing is this edge here has to be below the wood, so when the water comes over it drips off there into the gutter as opposed to going onto the wood underneath. So it's okay as it is, it just looks a bit tardy. So a bit belt and braces, but what I've done is I've put some bitumen across there. Obviously there was a split there in the old roofing felt. You don't necessarily need to do this, to be honest with you, but the reason I do it is, as you know, I've got open fields all around me and the wind blows up here, and what I don't want it to do is to catch the wind and to rip the felt off the top. So all I've done is I've gone over, I've nailed it all down, but I've just gone over the seam there with some bitumen. As I say, you don't necessarily need to do that. So that's the finished job. All I've got to do now is tidy all this rubbish up that I've created down the bottom. So as you can see, I've gone up that side there. Again, that needs to be tidied up slightly, but I'll do that with a pair of scissors when it stops raining. So as it's raining, I'll stop here and I'll get my electric in and tools and stuff before it really starts to chuck it down. So just to quickly continue with the tour, the carrots are doing really well. As you can see, they're really starting to fatten up now. You just see the top of one there. Those are the ones that are all different colours. All of these are doing well. I've taken some seed off the asparagus, which I'll show you in a little bit. Onions are drying out nice. We've had some, probably about half a dozen or so far. Really nice. I'm just part of the way through clearing out the tunnel here. Now, I've taken out the old peas. These are the sticks here. I'll put them sticks at the top there and tidy up all the weeds that have grown up the back. The second tunnel's doing all right, no problem at all. I need to get in there and do some weeding. Pumpkins not doing too bad. Some of them are starting to change colour. You can see that one over there. I'll just walk over and show you. So that one's changing colour, so I don't think it's going to get much bigger than that. These strange courgettes are starting to go yellow as well, so I don't know if I'll make a strange like pumpkin type carving with that. There's another pumpkin that's changing colour. I need to get some tiles under there actually, like I explained previously. The potatoes, I've took quite a few more potatoes out. I have found a couple with slug damage, so what I'm going to do over the next week or so is probably dig most, if not all, of the rest of them out and put them up for storage. The way I do that is dig them out of the ground, put them in the shed to dry, make sure you've got none that have got any problems, slugs, blight or any other problems, and then just sort them out into sizes. You don't have to do that, but I tend to do that, and then store them in paper sacks or Hessian sacks if you can get hold of them. I typically use the ones that the chicken food comes in. There's all the wood in there from the roof and the shuttering from the drain, which is ready for burning. Nice poppy there. I haven't got the heart to pull it out, I've left it in, but I'll be pulling the seed pods off before it seeds. Parsnips and everything are doing really well. The beetroots come on no end, as you can see there, that's about 3 or 4 inches across, so they're ready for picking. The white ones, again, doing quite well. As you can see there, they're probably about 3 inches across, so they're ready to pick. The Swedes, I don't know, I don't think it's the year of the Swedes this year. The rhubarb I've picked probably about 10 kilos of rhubarb, possibly more than that actually this week. That's what all these leaves are here. But we've done well with the rhubarb this year again. The beans, we're still picking the beans, buckets full every day, so we're doing well there. I've just taken the top off the drain and put the top in. So that's the finished, what the drain looks like. I will weld these holes up in this place, or most of them, when I get 5 minutes. Really pleased with the concrete. As I said, I used the Lafarge concrete or Blue Circle. so I do recommend that. These are doing really well, the kohlrabi. The Swiss chard is in there, that's coming on quite nicely, and the leeks are doing well. I need to take my saw and I'll grab that now before I forget it. These calendulas have almost finished now. I'll be collecting some seed off these as soon as it's dried out. We have had a bit of rain again, but I'll be collecting some seed, and I'll probably, even though they still look nice, I'll fetch them out just to give the chard a bit of a chance. As you can see, the beans still doing really well. I've left quite a lot on now for seed for next year. The corns, these ones at this end are doing well, but I've only got one, possibly two corns on each one. I normally get about 4 corns on each one, so this year they really haven't done well. I think it's just a piece of ground, as I was explaining in the last video. So I'm going to put the beans in. I'm going to dig a load of muck in here and really build it up, and then the only thing that seems to do well here are weeds, but I'll be putting the beans in next year after I've dug a load of stuff in. The weeds are doing well across the potatoes, you can see. I need to pull them out before the seed goes everywhere. The Winterfest gourds are doing alright. I've got loads of little ones coming on. There's one there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a really small one there. And there's obviously that one there that's doing well. So not quite as well as Chris's, but they're still doing well. The butternut squash, I've got some male flowers coming on, but I've not got a female flower yet that I've noticed anyway. Unless some of these are female and I've not spotted it, but that's the butternut squash. The courgettes and everything have done really well. I've had a little bit of slug damage over the last week or so. There's a really strange one here. I've got no idea what this is, but it's all knobbly and I don't know what to say about that, to be honest with you. I'll probably just pull it off. It looks like it's got some kind of problem, but I don't know if it's genetic or what. Sunflowers, they've done alright since I tied them all up. Here's one that's come out, a small one, but pretty nevertheless. The sweet peas still doing well. I tied those up last week, as I said. I still need to pull some of them seed pods off, but they're still flowering male in. To be honest with you, I'm just downwind of them now. It's a shame we haven't got smelly vision, because the scent coming off them now is really nice. Very nice, pleasant smell as you're walking down. So here are the sunflowers. Obviously they've grown, I think probably since the last video. When I put this pole up, they were about kind of here. So they've grown 2 foot this week. So they've really done well with this. This rain we've had. There's where the onions used to be. What I'm going to be doing with this this bed here is next year I'm going to be putting potatoes in. So what I'm going to do is get all the rest of these weeds off. I'll just hoe it over when it's dry enough. Wait for them to dry out and die, and then I'll be putting some muck all along here to ready for the potatoes. Loads of raspberries still. They're coming really well. I've been tying loads of them up, and the strawberries are actually in flower again. You see that little frog down there? And he shut off. But as you can see, there's flowers coming on the strawberries again. Flowers on the bloody bindweed as well. Pumpkin, not very impressed. It's only about 10-11 inches across. I was expecting that to be considerably bigger, and because it's changing orange now, I don't think it's going to get much bigger, but that's been watered every day. So the unimpressing lavender's still sat there doing nothing. So what I'll be doing in the next week is obviously picking some raspberries. I don't know if you can see those raspberries there. So there's absolutely loads of them. I'll just zoom in if I can. So there's loads of raspberries all there. So the seeds, these are the asparagus seeds that I've taken off, so there's going to be loads in there. As I say, in each one of these there's about 3 or 4 seeds, so it's worthwhile you keeping these little tubs. These are the ones that you get mushrooms in from the supermarket, or I don't know, strawberries and stuff like that, you know. So it's well worth keeping them, because you can put your seeds in to dry and or ripen off, or whatever you need to do. I've also been collecting the Californian poppies, which I showed you in the previous video. I don't know if you can see that down at the bottom, all those little black, those are the seeds, these are the pods that it's up. And I've managed to get pink hollyhocks, dark purple hollyhocks, lilac hollyhocks. Now none of these are out of my garden, these are out of, well, I found the dark purple ones on the roadside down a country lane, and the pink ones were also on the side of the road in my village, and the lilac ones a friend gave to me. And these are the white hollyhocks that are dry in the middle. So the pods, as I explained earlier on, look like that. And then inside there, if you break them off, obviously these are dry now, these little round bits, they're the actual seeds. So if you plant them in the spring, it's important you leave all of these in the greenhouse because you need to have frost on them. So either put them in little pots like that, or keep them a little bit safer, put them in paper bags or paper envelopes. Just leave them in the greenhouse where they're not going to get wet, and let them over winter. It's a good idea that they get a bit of frost over the winter, and then plant them in the spring. And then the Californian poppies come first year round. The hollyhocks, you need to grow them, and then typically they flower the second year that you plant them. But the ones that I've got out here, they've been flowering now for about 4 years. So I'm not sure if the class is biannual, so you grow them 1 year, then they flower the next. But I think if you have mild winters, they just keep on going. So as you can see, these here, they're going for getting ready for next year. Now you can see there's new growth on these here. Now I'll cut them back. So that's the seed, and your flower beds. Obviously, what you need to do is mulch them or whatever, and take out any weeds, dead matter and all the rest of it, to rejuvenate the soil for next year. So I hope this episode of Jim's Allotment Garden is been of some use to you. Please do put your comments below and let me know what you thought of the video. Please subscribe, etc. But from me, I'm signing off, so thank you for watching another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden.